Today, I'm going to take you on a fun, and I use that term lightly, journey that started the moment I read a particular sentence in the final patch notes leading up to Monument of Triumph, aka the last major live update in Destiny 2. Full choke. Pellet spread is now reduced by 5% instead of 3.25%. If you're relatively new to my channel, then you might be scratching your head right now, wondering why anyone would care about a patch note so incredibly tiny and trivial. But if you're a long-time viewer of my channel, you've probably let out a sensible chuckle, because you know that over the years, and back when a lot of my content was mainly focused on PvP, which is weird to think about now, I spent a ridiculous amount of time testing shotguns, trying to compare what the best barrels were, trying to understand what the best perks were, even trying out insane stuff, like the fact that when the Chaperone had the Panama Ravine ornament equipped, it was able to earn one-tap kills from slightly further away because the barrel was 2 inches longer. That one is no longer a thing, by the way, but good lord, that was a wild day on Twitter. Anyway, I'm glad that over the years I've continued to broaden my horizons away from a shotgun-focused content, I guess, but with the D2 Sandbox team making a new barrel-related update, and the knowledge that this is probably never going to change again, I have a rare opportunity here, which is to officially find out what the best shotgun barrel is for PvP for the last f***ing time, knowing that this info will likely be carved into stone forever. So I called up some homies and took them to Endless Vale so I could force feed them a mouthful of buckshot one last time. And please believe me, dear viewer, when I tell you that I thought this was going to be so straightforward until I got thrown 2 major curveballs that made me want to gnaw the corner of my gaming desk. But real quick, today's video is sponsored by Tyr, so please join me in tanking them real quick. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. I'll be here all week. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, if you ever thought to yourself, hey, I really wish I could play a sci-fi themed tank shooter, well, good news, you nerd. Now you have Tyr. Tyr is focused on giving the most interesting and strategic tank gameplay possible, and it has a tank that turns into a jet, which really should be the only thing I need to say for the remainder of the ad, right? I think so. But I'm a professional and we're going to keep going anyway. Tyr is a competitive game. It is built for fair competition, so there are no paid power elements and matches are a level playing field. Sorry, pay-to-win lovers. There's also deep tank customization, and best of all, it's free to play. Check my link in the pinned comment below, or better yet, find Tyr on Steam and add it to your wishlist and request access to join the playtest. Big thank you to those who do and support the content that supports me, and thanks again to Tyr. Alright, we back. The shotgun process started with me grabbing a strong PvP shotgun out of my vault. For the sake of consistency, my instant choice for testing was the Imperial Decree. Not only is this one of my go-to shotguns for Crucible for being incredibly consistent and lethal, it's also craftable, meaning that it should be easy AF to test with, as I can simply go back and forth to the crafting table at the Enclave to change just the barrel on my shotgun, keeping everything else completely unchanged. And with my test weapon in hand, I proceeded to murder my friends in a private lobby just like the good old days. Now, before I show you the final data, a quick note. If you're watching some of these clips and thinking, dude, you are aiming way too low, I'm actually not. I've read that comment on my YouTube videos a lot over the years, and yeah, it may look strange if you're a newish D2 player or just don't do a lot of PvP, but you kind of have to aim low in order to really land the full pellet spread on the other guy. Anyway, I shot my buddy a bunch of times with each barrel from 8 meters away exactly, then afterwards I examined exactly how much damage I did to him each time I pulled the trigger. The reason you do it more than once is to make sure the data is consistent, which it was. Here's an example screenshot of me comparing the damage each time I shot my buddy with the Barrel Shroud barrel, for example. Pretty damn consistent. After I had done that multiple times with each barrel, I compared all the screenshots against each other, and here's what I found. If we are talking strictly about pellets landed for each barrel and nothing else, then they are, in order from least to most effective, Smoothbore at number 6, Full Choke at number 5, which is very interesting because I thought it would be way better, Barrel Shroud at number 4, and for the record, Full Choke and Barrel Shroud were extremely close, almost a tie, Corkscrew at number 3, Small Bore at number 2, and Rifled Barrel at number 1, having consistently landed more pellets on the target than any other option. Now, before you run off telling everybody and their mother that Rifled Barrel is officially the best shotgun barrel now. You gotta remember that there's more to a good shotgun barrel than just how many pellets you can land on the other dude from far away. Namely, the fact that different shotty barrels give you different stats, which are also pretty important. For example, rifled barrel, while clearly a good option, also gives you a penalty to handling, which is bad because the vast majority of the time in PvP, you're not going to be fighting against another guy like this, standing perfectly still from exactly 8 meters away. There's going to be plenty of times where range won't matter, aka you come face to face with another guy and you're both so close you could smooch, and in those situations, handling is king. And with that in mind, I would say that the best option for aggressive frame shotguns would actually be corkscrew rifling. It didn't land quite as consistently as rifled barrel or small bore, but it was barely behind, and on top of that, it comes with a buff to stability, which is nice for incoming flinch resist, and a buff to handling, which is very important to me personally. But believe it or not, that still ain't the final answer, because after I did that testing, I thought to myself, well, I tested the Imperial Decree, but that is only one frame of shotgun. I should probably make sure the data is consistent on other shotgun frames as well. So I grabbed another craftable shotgun that does decently well in PvP, this time getting the Wastelander M5, which is a member of the lightweight frame family. And as I measured the amount of damage, aka the amount of pellets I was landing on my friend per each barrel, I felt the data was matching up perfectly with that of the Imperial Decree until I got to Smoothbore. Inexplicably, the barrel that had performed hands down the worst on the Imperial Decree was now performing incredible on the Wastelander. In fact, the final results were almost identical, with the sole exception of Smoothbore, which in terms of pellets landed on the target, had now leaped all the way up to second place just behind Rifled Barrel. Now, the very obvious question is, what the fuck? And thankfully, I do have a theory. If you remember, a long while ago, Bungie made it so that different shotgun frames would have different pellet spreads by design. For example, the pellet spread for aggressive frame shotguns looks like this, a relatively wide shape, while the spread for lightweight frame shotguns looks like this, a relatively more compact shape. After some contemplating and analyzing, what I'm pretty sure this means is that because the pellet spread shape for aggressive frame shotties is wideish by default, making it even wider by using Smoothbore made for a not very good choice when compared to the other barrel options. However, with the naturally more even distribution of the lightweight frame spread, equipping Smoothbore wasn't that bad when compared to the other barrel options. And because Smoothbore offers additional range, the end result was a bit closer to Rifled Barrel, which also provides a range buff. But that of course leads us to a very annoying conclusion, which is while barrel results are mostly consistent, they can still change depending on the frame of your shotgun. TLDR, Smoothbore actually pretty decent on lightweight frames, but Smoothbore bad on aggressive frames. Which leads to another question. Well, what about other frames? And that leads me to the final shotgun I wanted to take a look at for today's video, the Prophet of Doom, which is a precision frame shotgun. Now I know a way more ideal shotty to look at would have probably been the Matador 64, a much more popular crucible shotty that also happens to be a precision frame. But unfortunately, Matador isn't craftable, whereas Prophet of Doom is, and they have relatively comparable stats to one another, so looking at the Prophet should be just fine. And the results were very strange. In a nutshell, almost every barrel option on the Prophet was near identical in terms of how many pellets they managed to land on the target, except for Smoothbore, which, basically mimicking the Imperial Decree, was hands down the worst barrel option of the bunch. Again, this leads me to believe that barrel options are mostly consistent, except their performance can vary depending on the shotgun frame. And if you're wondering about rapid fire frames, I didn't test any because I personally hate them in PvP, and the range is usually so short that you gotta be really close to the other guy and do a 2-tap no matter what anyway, so who the hell cares? And on that note, my final recommendations for barrel on what I consider the big 3 frames. For aggressive frames, corkscrew rifling landed a bunch of pellets very consistently and comes with a stability and handling buff. For lightweight frames, small bore, and yes, even though Smoothbore performed very well on the lightweight frame, better than I ever expected, the differences between small bore and Smoothbore were so minuscule that I'm giving it to small bore for the stability buff and the additional flinch resist. And for precision frames, literally any option but Smoothbore. All the options performed so extremely close to each other, I'd probably wind up giving it to either Corkscrew or Barrel Shroud because again, fairly indistinguishable results, but both of those come with a handling bonus. And side note, if you are a Warlock with Ophidian aspects or have some other way of massively boosting your handling on a routine basis, I think that running Rifled Barrel would be the optimal choice for any. As from what I've seen, it consistently landed the most pellets on the target from deep across the board, and the only reason I don't blanket recommend it is because of the handling penalty. But again, if you got oodles of handling, who really gives a damn? Oh, and by the way, my second headache of the day came from Fellwinter's Lie. In the patch notes, Bungie mentioned shot package intrinsic now reduced pellet spread by 2.5% when ADS. Fellwinter's Lie is the only shotgun in the game that rolls with the shot package intrinsic frame, and at the time, I was happy to report that the Fellwinter was performing like hot, salty garbage when I used it, and was going to recommend forgetting about that gun forever. And then, this conversation happened.
So don't get mad. Not saying to stress you out. Aren't they bringing back Fellwinters, though?
Wait, what are you talking about? They're making a new Fellwinter's Lie?
Yes. I remember, the only reason I remember is I saw they were like buffing the stats for the new one.
When does Iron Banner come out?
Week 4.
Yeah, so as it turns out, there in fact is a new Fellwinter's Lie coming, and yes, it will have noticeably better base stats than its original version. Meaning, I may have more work to do when Iron Banner eventually drops. But more on that another time, maybe. Thanks very much for watching, see you next time.